Hello everyone, my name is Aryan Akbari. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my series on how to heal yourself in the environment. It's for anyone learning to, I don't know, just interested in self-care, interested in like healing, interested in the environment, interested in social movements. Whatever brought you here today, or if you're just like one of my homies, like shout out to you. Thanks so much for the support. Anyway, sorry, let me consult my book. This episode, which I'm filming in the same outfit as the last one, is about assuming generosity and learning how to fail in the environmental movement. So this is a concept that I've had to, both of these concepts are ones that I've had to like really learn over a long period of time. And I'm still like working at them. So like, let's talk about the first one, which is assuming generosity, right? I think that this is like, I think, you know, we live in kind of like divisive times, right? Where like, especially things like social media or like even the news or just like anything that like is affecting people has them start to believe that like, these people are good and these people are bad, right? Like there's a lot of divisiveness and like othering, right? Like, and I was definitely subject to it myself, right? Like I started to believe like, oh, these people are good and these people are bad. Whether that's based off of their like, you know, their ethnicity, their like gender, their like their region, their work occupation, right? Like based on anything, right? I think it's really easy to get into a position of like, oh, they're bad, right? And there was a lot of things on social media that would say like, oh, this group is bad, right? And like this group is bad because, right? And I think it's really important to like not play into that, right? I think it's really important, and this is something that I'm like relearning, right? That I knew a long time ago, actually, because I'm sort of like a lifelong social butterfly, right? Like I feel like I'm someone who could talk to someone from kind of like any social group, right? And generally like fit in or like find common ground. And I just found that I wasn't doing that anymore, right? Like like the more I got into environmental stuff, the even deeper I got into being like, no, like they're not with me, right? Or like this process of othering, right? And I think something that's been sort of a turnaround for me is starting to realize like, someone on a motorcycle there, is the importance of like assuming generosity, even whenever that's not the obvious, even when that's not like the obvious external like vision that you're getting, right? Like it's important to just assume that people are going to want to help you, right? And this is kind of similar to concepts like an abundance mindset, but not exactly, right? Like, I definitely like am also a proponent of things like the abundance mindset, but I think it's important to just assume that everybody, no matter what you might assume their like beliefs are or whatever, assume that they want to be generous, assume that they want to help you, and you know, maybe you'll manifest this energy yourself. But at the very least, like you won't, like it'll be good for your soul, right? Because like you'll start to assume like more positivity, right? And this kind of goes along with the concept of like learning how to fail, right? So I definitely like have gone through the process of failure more over the past several years than I ever had before in my life. And, you know, this was due to a variety of factors. I think like there's still a lot happening with like, you know, the social isolation of the pandemic. I don't think people were like surrounded in the best groups. Like I know I was not surrounded by the most positive people in my life, and like I found myself in a position where this is like just personal share. I found myself in a position where I like kept reaching out to these people who I felt like were supposed to be there for me, right? And then they weren't, right? And where am I going with that? The point is like I had to go to therapy or something like that. No. The point is that like we're just coming out of a strange time, right? And I experienced a lot of failure during this strange time, but it's very likely that you, regardless of like the time that you are watching this in, or like when you're living, right, you are also going to experience failure, especially if you're working in the environmental movement or like any social movement at all, really. Because like, I also have some theories that say like the environmental movement doesn't actually exist yet. Like, we're just like not there, you know? Because like I'm only seeing L's across the board. And as I'm like making this video, it was just announced that like the US just cut like $50 million of funding to environmental initiatives or something like this, like clean energy initiatives from the Biden administration. And even the Biden administration wasn't like a very green administration. So like, if you want to be an environmentalist or like in the environmental movement or like a conservationist, like, no, you're gonna lose like most of the time, right? And so I think like there is a component where like, kind of going back to this like assuming generosity component, you need to like assume, like, even if you are going to fail, you need to assume that like there's going to be, like, there is hope at the other end, right? Like, you may fail right now, like something didn't work out, right? But eventually it will work out. And I found myself in positions, and it's very easy to like pop off, right? To like get really upset, to get really sad, right? Whenever like something doesn't work out. Especially if like the way that things could have worked out would be really good, right? And that's something you experience a lot in the environmental movement, because you'll be like, oh, like I have such an easy, like great project that could happen, and like it would be so great if we could do this, and then like you're just gonna face like a ton of opposition and like, I don't know, things really get dark kind of quickly in the environmental movement for whatever reason. And so I had to learn like how to fail, and like how to fail gracefully in a lot of ways, or like how to fail powerfully even, and how to come out with it with like the ultimate goal being like a vision of like a healthy future for myself and all, right? And so my advice is just like, you have to understand like failure is a part of success, you know? And like, you know, they always say like, oh, someone like walked so another person could run. Like, I feel like I am like crawling on my hands and knees in the dirt so that someone eventually can fly, you know? And I think you just have to understand like, you're just gonna fail a lot, but you gotta stay positive. You gotta assume the best in people. Assume people want to help, but they may just like not be able to at the moment. And in the future, maybe they could, right? Or out there, maybe someone else could, right? Even if you fail at this project, the next one, it's kind of reminds me of like the quote at the end of The Great Gatsby, where it's like, you know, the orgastic green light, and like, I guess, isn't that like it's like a parable for the American dream? I don't know, but it's like, tomorrow we'll run faster, we'll like chasing that light, right? And you know, ultimately we never catch that light, because like Gatsby died and Daisy left with her generational wealth husband. But that is to say, you still got a dream. And on that note, my name's Ariana Akbari. Thank you so much for watching this series on how to heal yourself in the environment. I hope that someone somewhere out there has found solace and like positivity in this series, and I hope to bring you new and exciting content in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Love you. Bye.